So let me get this straight. Jada's cancer is back with a vengeance because ma'am is going to be standing in the middle of Hallelujah Square getting ready to meet the Lord, okay? And now y'all got Emmett over here trying to play Captain Save a Gambling Hoe. Like, what are y'all doing? Hey y'all, welcome or welcome back to my channel Reviewed, where we talk about all things television and film from today and yesteryear. So I wanted to come on here and do a recap of The Shy Season 7, Episode 8. And let me just say this, y'all gonna stop playing with my feelings. I do not appreciate the fact that I could not even enjoy this episode. My fave finally showed up. Okay, shout out to Felicia Rashad. She finally shows up on the episode, and then y'all hit us with the 1-2 at the end. Like, are you freaking kidding me? Y'all play too much, and I am so over it. I am so over Emmett's little brother. I'm so over this little simp. He gets on my first and last nerve. Anyway, the episode starts off with Emmett's brother and his dad. He ends up taking him to a Gamblers Anonymous meeting. Okay. And old boy was like, I don't trust you. Like, he ends up getting out the car and he ends up going into the building with his son because he wants to make sure that he is actually taking this seriously. So Damon, aka Tink Tink, because he's a little simp, he is in this Gamblers Anonymous class, and he ends up running into Karuchi Tran's character. I have no idea what her name is, but at first it seems they already knew each other, especially after they hooked up in the bathroom, like they had known each other for a minute. Nonetheless, I am curious to see what the two of them are going to get involved with each other, especially if they are both in a Gamblers Anonymous class, because clearly we know he got some serious issues, but I'm curious to find out exactly the extent of her gambling issues as well. So while Damon's over in the Gamblers Anonymous class, Emmett's dad, he ends up finding this class where it says for grieving spouses or whatever. So he ends up going into this room, and he's sitting down and he's listening to people tell the stories about their spouses and how they've been dealing with the loss of them. So we get introduced to Wendy Raquel Robinson's character, Riley, and this is the first time I've ever seen her in a serious role. Everything I've seen her in has been, comedy. Shout out to Tasha Mack. But anyway, she and Emmett's dad have a friendly exchange, and she asked him, how long has it been since his wife passed? And he said, oh, my wife is still alive. And she's like, hold on, pause. Like, are you in here trying to holler at people? Like, we had to put a dude up out of here because he was coming to our meetings and he was just using that as like a dating source. And she was like, that's not the way to go. And he was like, no, I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend you or anything like that. And he basically lets her know that he saw the sign on the door about grieving spouses, and he wanted to come in and join in on the group because that's basically where he's headed. And you know they they still continue to have an exchange, and his son end up walking in, and Damon, he looking at him kind of like side eye and like, what's going on? And once they get in the car, he goes ahead and let him know that Jada is her cancer has come back and it's terminal. And he starts crying. And I think what kind of took me aback by that is that the fact that he told Tink Tink, like, why are you telling Emmett's brother, but you haven't even told Emmett yet? But nonetheless, I am just curious to see what more interactions we are going to get between Riley and Emmett's dad.
Oh my God. I'm so sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Is it terminal?
We don't have that much time left, and when I saw the sign, grieving partners, and I just, I don't know.
I understand. Thank you for sharing with me.
So, honey, the pulpit pimp, aka Pastor Zeke, he is practicing a sermon. I guess he's preparing for the following Sunday, and he gets a surprise visit from his daughter Kenya. She walks in, and he's surprised to see her, and she lets him know that she's back, that she's moving back to Chicago, and she's going to be living with her mom. And she also lets him know that her grandma Renee is also going to be moving in with them. And Pastor Zeke is like, oh Lord, here comes trouble, basically. Okay. So Jada, she is going through some photos and, just trying to get some things together. And she basically is at the point where she is accepting of the fact that she may be getting ready to go on a permanent vacation with the Lord. And, her husband walks in and he's like, "What you doing?" And, she starts telling him, "I just want to make sure that, I give some stuff away, for Keisha, when Keisha may get tired of nursing the baby, she could just throw on one of these robes and this and that and the third." And then she pauses and she's like, she has an epiphany because she realizes that she may not be there when Keisha and Emmett's baby is born. And it's like, I'm like, hold on, did you really go get a second opinion, Jada? Like, are you just really throwing in the towel? Because, ma'am, who's to say that you are seriously going to be getting ready to go on a permanent vacation with the Lord? Like, girl, have you gotten a second opinion yet? Because you should not just accept what this woman has told you. I get it. She said that she's tired of fighting. You know what I'm saying? She does say that in this moment, but it's just like, you're not just fighting for yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have other people who want you around. You know what I'm saying? So I'm curious if she's gotten a second opinion or if that will even play out. You know what I'm saying? Are we going to get to see her go and get another opinion about her condition? Like, is she going to go see a specialist? Like, I need a little bit more because I'm just not here for this. No, I'm not. Okay.
Why you got me all the way out here in the boonies?
So I can't be seen talking to you.
Understood.
So what the fuck you want?
So Detective Toussaint is basically trying to link up with Nuck because she wants his help in getting Reg. And Nuck is basically letting her know, like, I really don't have no dealings with him. I really don't know too much about him. It is what it is. And in this moment, Nuck is kind of he's trying to figure out exactly which route he wants to go. And Detective basically lets her know, she's like, I got a son. And of course, Nuck was like, I got one too. She looks at a picture of the baby and she tells Nuck, she was like, look, my son is locked up. I need to get Reggie. I need to get him behind bars so my son can be free. Basically, it's almost like, what would you do if you were in my situation type tease that she's giving to Nuck in this moment. And ultimately, she just needs his help. She needs to figure out how she is going to track Reg and lock his behind up. So Reg, Hannibal, and Dame, they are sitting around having a conversation, right? They are talking about the Michael Jeffrey Jordan, honey, okay? And, Reg is asking all these questions. And of course, Tink Tink, him being a whiz kid, honey, he has the answer to everything. He has the rebuttal. So, of course, Reg, he throws out, I bet. And at one particular moment, I was like, okay, Tink Tink, use some common sense. And he was like, nah, I can't bet right now. That's just something I'm not doing right now. And of course, Reg, he wants to punk him. And I'm like, dude, you can't punk a punk because he already a punk. It is what it is. But nonetheless, he calls his bluff and Tink Tink ends up falling for it. And they shake on a bet about a question that Reg was certain that, Damon would not be able to answer. So he asked him this question about Michael Jordan, and it seems as though Tink Tink got it right, but he got it wrong. And so now he owes Reggie $5,000. Like, this right here was so ridiculous because Hannibal told him, he was like, man, shut up, don't do it. Like, Hannibal tried to give you a lifeline and you just dismissed it. Okay.
You seem to be doing pretty well for yourself.
Yeah, he's really been looking out for me and my mom.
I heard he bought your dad's church.
He did, but he made sure it was still in our name.
That's nice of him.
So Kenya, she invites Papa and her dad to come to her mom's house for dinner. She wants Papa to meet her mom and her grandmother. And of course, he agrees. And Pastor Zeke, aka the pulpit pimp, honey, he is convinced that he should join as well. Vic and Tiff, they are at the cigar lounge and they're getting ready to close shop. And he tells Tiff that he's getting ready to go see some artist. I forgot the artist's name, y'all. But anyway, Tiff was like, oh, I like him. I'm a big fan of his. And she was like, why you ain't asked me to go with you? He was like, because I didn't know. And of course, Vic ends up asking Tiff to go to the concert with him. So Emmett and Keish were trying to have some adulting time, okay? And Keish was like, oh my God, I got to get up. I got to go get ready for our women's meeting. And she ends up telling Emmett that his mom would not be hosting that. She called and canceled and said she wasn't feeling good. And Emma was like, oh man, I need to check on her. I've had talked to her in a minute. And, Keisha was like, yeah, she said, so I'm going to host tonight. And she was like, well, what are you going to do when the ladies come over? And Emma was like, maybe I'll go hang out with my brother, see what he's up to. And he's texting Damien, oh, Tink Tink sitting up there with Reg and Hannibal betting on something, basically writing a check that his behind cannot cash. Okay. And so, Emmett, he and Keisha started having a conversation about therapy. And, she was just saying that Emmett should go to therapy too. She was like, therapy has been a wonderful thing for me, and maybe you should utilize it as well. And Emmett also mentions to Keisha about his brother having a gambling problem. Keisha was like, well, shoot, I wish you had told me that before I agreed to let him sleep on our couch. And, she was like, well, just keep your eye on him, and, just make sure both of y'all stay out of trouble. So here the ladies are, having their little woman's meeting. And I'm like, y'all can miss me with these bellies poking out like this. Like, girl, please. So they are having conversations. And, Keisha, she's just saying how exhausted she is. And at some point, she apologizes to Tracy. She was like, I'm sorry for, talking about my kids and complaining when you lost your son. And Tracy's like, no, honey. She said, that does not bother me. Like, you know, I guess it kind of just makes her remember what it's like to be in those moments, when your kids are getting on your nerves and things like that. And she basically tells Keisha, she's like, you don't ever have to apologize, for being a mom. Like, you don't have to do that around me. And they end up asking Dawn, does she want kids? And she said, no, it's just like she never wanted to have children. And she was just like, am I wrong for feeling that way? And they was like, nah, girl, like, it's nothing wrong with not wanting to be a mom at all. Okay. And speaking of the moms of all moms, honey, the Felicia Rashad walks in. Her name is Renee, so we're going to call her Grandma Nay, okay? Like, y'all gave my girl Renee, like, for real. But anyway, so Zeke is, he seems to be excited to see his former mother-in-law, okay? So I was right about her playing Kenya's grandmother. I just thought that she would probably be Pastor Zeke's mom. But nonetheless, it seems like they have a pretty decent relationship. But she basically was like, I saw you and your unseasoned girlfriend all over the World Wide Web. And she was like, what's up with that? And of course, Pastor Zeke, he kind of trying to take his foot out his mouth. And he was like, what you mean? There's nothing wrong with that. And Grandma Nay is like, whatever. She was like, you remind me of my ex-husband, the one that left me for a white woman. And so Pastor Zeke is like, so this is your issue about me dating a white woman, is the simple fact that your ex-husband left you for an unseasoned woman. So, Kenya, she introduces Papa to Grandma Nay. And she was like, oh, so you're Papa. I heard a lot about you. He's like, yes, ma'am. I never meant to break your granddaughter's heart. Sidebar. Y'all, I'm sorry. Papa still cannot act to me. Papa was a better actor when he was younger. I don't know if it's because his voice has changed or whatever. I tolerate him because Papa is an OG. Okay, he's been on the show since its inception, but his acting is so blah. Anyway, so Grandma Nay, she is basically quick with it. You know what I'm saying? Like she gonna give you a little something, but she gonna make you laugh at the same time. Okay. And like I said, it just seems as if Zeke and her have a pretty decent relationship. Now, as far as his ex-wife goes, Kenya's mom, I'm surprised that this is the first time that we're actually getting this much from her. Especially remember when Papa broke up with Kenya because he found out that she had a kid. Like, where was her mom at when all this was going on? But nonetheless, um, we get this banter, this back and forth between Zeke, Grandma Nay, his ex-wife, Kenya, and Papa. So eventually, Grandma Nay, she does invite Papa to stay for dinner. And I'm thinking to myself, girl, honey, Kenya already invited him to dinner. But nonetheless, can we just pause? Felicia Rashad is gorgeous. Like, this woman does not age. Okay, like, ma'am, face card will never decline ever. Okay, so Grandma Nay, she invites Papa to stay for dinner, and she also invites Pastor Zeke to stay for dinner. And Zeke is like, no, I'm working on a sermon. And she was like, there you go again, always putting your church before your family. Like, this is the issue. This has been an issue since day one. And this is why you are no longer married to my daughter. Like, miss me with it. Okay.
What kind of bind?
I lost a bet.
How much you owe?
5 racks.
Damn.
I know.
So here we go with little Tink Tink around here begging and pleading, trying to get this money up that he did not have to bet or have to lose in the first place. Okay. I literally do not know who I do not like the most out of him and Reggie at this point. Like they both equally get on my freaking nerves. Granted, this boy is green. Okay. He don't know where he coming or going. And but at the same time, he is doing stuff. He keep putting his foot in his mouth. You know what I'm saying? And eventually he gonna choke on it. And I'll be here for it. Okay. So the pulpit pimp, honey, he ends up pulling up a chair and he stays for dinner. And of course, the conversation is mostly centered around him and his unseasoned woman. Okay, tell his oldest time about how black men of influence, money and celebrity and things of that nature, they tend to prefer their chicken unseasoned once they get that coin going. Okay, and you know Kenya, she basically says to her dad, I don't care what color she is. I don't care what color woman you date. And, Grandma Nay was like, of course you don't, honey, because y'all children don't know no better. Like, you know, y'all don't understand the history behind black men dating white women. And then, the pulpit pimp, he was like, yeah, we men used to be lynched back in the day for even looking at a woman of no color. And, Papa was like, what you mean, like Emmett Till? And Grandma Renee was like, yes, honey, Emmett Till. And, they drift off and get away from that conversation, but they stay on Pastor Zeke, right? And so Grandma Renee was like, honey, you thought that you was gonna leave my daughter for something better, and you ended up with a hoochie who has a proclivity for young boys. And so Grandma Nay, she ends up bringing up the name Jake, and Papa ends up choking on his water. It's just like, do you know him, Papa? Listen, I hollered. She said, do you know him, Papa? Because she was cracking up about the fact that Pastor Zeke's, his wife, honey, been running around here with Jake, and Papa was like, yes, ma'am, but I ain't got nothing to do with that. I'm just trying to, focus on my walk with the Lord. Like, Papa was like, let me clear my name up real quick because you're not about to put me in the middle of this. And so at some point of dinner, Grandma Nate, she basically was like, her daughter cheated on Pastor Zeke. And I was like, oh, so now we're getting somewhere. So not only did your daughter's wife cheat on you, but your current wife has been cheating on you too. So now I'm starting to think that maybe Pastor Zeke has decided that he wants to try unseasoned chicken because the soul food chicken keep cheating on him. Like, okay, I kind of get it a little bit, pulpit pimp. But honey, when I tell you the conversation at the table was turning a little contentious, it was getting just a bit out of hand. Okay.
Well, listen now, I think everybody needs to just settle down here so that we can state very calmly what it is we want to say. And
so Pastor Zeke, he basically tells his ex-wife that he is not dating an unseasoned woman, like because of her. He was like, my situation with Sarah has nothing to do with you. This is just me wanting to try something new. And I'm like, sir, this ain't no movie. Like, miss me with it. Okay. But he does let her know that him deciding to date outside his race has absolutely nothing to do with her. This is just all on him. And this is just something that he wants to experience. And even though he feels this way, honey, Grandma Nay had to politely let him know this.
That's not what she asked you. White women have been the downfall of many a black man. Hope we don't have to add your name to the list.
So we get this moment between Tiff and Vic at this concert. The gentleman that was singing, he had a really nice voice, but why is Tiff standing up? I'm like, girl, you are how many months pregnant and you sitting up here standing up at a concert? Like, girl, please. I don't think so. Okay. So after the concert, Vic and Tiff finally kiss. And of course, Alicia is upstairs. She is eye hustling, okay, standing up there watching them. And I'm like, what is she going to do? Because again, y'all, I always say this. I like Alicia. I do not trust her. Okay. So Nuck, he ends up meeting up with the pulpit pimp, okay? And Pastor Zeke is basically advising him on what he should do in reference to Detective Toussaint. So Nuck, he let him know, what was going on. And, Pastor Zeke was like, well, oftentimes the police seem to look out for gangsters. You know what I'm saying? Like, for whatever reason, they're able to do more for people in the streets. I guess scratch my back, I'll scratch yours, quid pro quo. Okay. And so, Pastor Zeke basically lets Nuck know that maybe that's something he should do, just go along with it because he is trying to change his life. And he was like, maybe this is a way for you to, continue on that route if this is something that you're really serious about, changing your ways and who you are. And for me, I'm wondering, you know, um, how Nuck is feeling in this moment because again, it seems as if he was hell bent on letting Tiff know that he was the one who sent Rob to be on a permanent vacation with the Lord. And now for me, I'm wondering if Nuck is going to use this opportunity with Detective Toussaint to kind to place blame on Reggie for what happened to Rob. You know what I'm saying? Is he going to manipulate the situation to where it benefits him, Nuck, and makes it seem as though Reggie was the culprit in what happened to Rob? Because again, so many people thought that Reggie was 6 feet under, and here this Negro go, Negro popping up like a jack in the box. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, here I am. And so this could be beneficial to Nuck. It could be beneficial to Bakari because again, everyone's hand is in the pot at this moment. Everyone is tied to one another. You know what I'm saying? So I'm wondering if Nuck is going to take this opportunity to make it where as if he never had anything to do with what happened to Rob. And if Detective Toussaint is going to help him along with that as well, because I'm pretty sure he may end up confessing to her that he was the one who unalived Rob. I don't know. This is just me thinking out loud, but nonetheless, we shall see. Okay. So we get this moment where we see Emmett basically holding up his end of the bargain where he told Keisha that he was going to, pull more weight and do more to help her out around the house. And, we get to see him cleaning up, making sure the kids are in bed, and just basically, like I said, holding up his end of the bargains. So we get this moment between Vic and Shy. They chopping it up, having a conversation. Vic let Shy know that he kissed Tiff. And Shy was like, well, what you gonna do? Because Nuck trying to push up on her. And Vic was like, Nuck ain't her dude. Like, I don't care. It is what it is. So, they're having this conversation. And of course, Shad, he basically lets Vic know that he no longer works for Alicia. They're no longer dealing with each other. And he asks Vic, he was like, is the couch still available? And Vic was like, yeah, anytime for you. Like, you're my brother. That's you're my boy or whatever. And as lighthearted as their conversation was, because Shad, he does say to Vic, well, you need to talk to Emmett about what's going on with you and Tip. That's his ex-wife. And Vic was like, yeah, because, they have that male group, and they're basically boys, you know what I'm saying? So, they have that conversation. And then, things kind of turn a little serious when they bring up Reggie.
What you gonna do about Reg, though?
I don't know.
I think he gonna fuck some shit up, man.
Yeah, you and me both.
He got trouble in his eyes.
He always has.
So here Tink Tink go again, begging and pleading to Bakari this time. Bakari's like, dude, what are you doing? Like, I can't, like, you can't be running around here asking people for money or whatever. He was like, I'll pay you back as soon as I can. But Bakari, being the little sweetheart that he is at times, okay, Bakari is like, I can give you $1,000. So Bakari ends up giving him $1,000. He got $1,000 from Don. And so he's $3,000 short. And so Bakari was like, well, where are you going to get the rest of the money? And of course, Tink Tink, he was like, there's only one person who I know that got this kind of money, and that's my stepmom. And Bakari was like, okay. And he was like, well, I don't really feel right asking her. And Bakari was like, well, what's going on? And he was like, well, I'm not supposed to say anything, but, Jada is basically, she is standing in the middle of Hallelujah Square. Like, her cancer came back and she ain't gonna make it. And so Bakari was like, well, dude, you can't ask her for no money. You can't ask nobody that's, about to be up out of here for no money. Like, you just don't do that. Like, how low can you go? And clearly very low, because TT does just that. Like, boy.
Hey, whiff and poof. You really lost your way.
So old Tink Tink goes to see Jada, and he basically lets her know that he made a bet and he does not want to disappoint his dad. He doesn't want to disappoint Emmett. And Jada is like, what is your problem? Like, you are not supposed to be gambling. And clearly he has a problem. He does not know when to say when, and he does not know when to say no. And quiet as it's kept, clearly he doesn't understand that shutting up is free. I suggest he utilizes it, because he should have in that moment with Reggie. Okay. So Jada, she ends up giving him $2,000, and he asked her not to say anything to, his dad. And I'm like, why are you bringing your problems to her front door when she already has enough? You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, it's just annoying. And, he gives her a hug and everything like that. And I'm like, she already got enough that she's dealing with. She don't need to be carrying this burden too. But, she gives him the money. And of course, he has collected $4,000, which is not enough. Okay. So Vic, he goes to see Emmett, and they're sipping on a little some, and they chopping it up, talking, and he does let him know that he and Tiff kissed. And Emmett was like, "Oh, okay," he plays it off, And Emmett also brings up Nook as well, and Vic is like, "I'm not worried about Nook, like it is what it is." Basically, like, Nook ain't even my competition. Like, don't play with me like that. So he just said he don't want anything to be uncomfortable between he and Emmett, with the brother group, and just them being friends, the camaraderie that they have with one another. He just wanted to come to him man to man and let him know what was what.
I wanted you to hear from me. You know?
Yeah, I can respect that.
As a man.
Of course.
I mean, because next time we come here, I don't want it to feel like, I don't want it to feel like...
Who said it was going to be your next time?
Oh, shit.
Just fucking...
You seem serious.
And of course, Emmett does feel away, because we saw Emmett feeling away, when he first found out that Tiff was pregnant. Okay. Like, when he found out she was preggo, he was feeling away. And I don't understand it. It's like, I do, but I don't, because it's like, sir, let's not forget that you slept with Tiff's friend, Keisha, who you are currently about to have a child with, and you are living with. Like, Tiff had to put up with a lot from you too. Like, everything was okay when she was dealing with Rob, because Rob was someone who you did not know. And to be fair, the whole circle of friends, that's just it's a little nasty. Okay. Like, you you have to have a little coof about the people that you intertwine with. You know what I'm saying? And Vic, he don't necessarily owe Emmett anything, but at the same time, you are dealing with someone that Emmett was married to and Emmett has a child with, and this is somebody you consider your boy. So I get it. I understand that Emmett feels away. However, Emmett, you put yourself in this situation, dear. You are the one who you kind of kick things off. Okay. So I get that you feel away, but you really don't, you shouldn't. Like, you should not, because it ain't nothing you can do about it, So, but yeah, he definitely feels a way about Vic potentially getting serious with Tiff. So Professor Gardner, he ends up meeting up with, I'm assuming, a dean of the school, and she basically lets him know that, hey, I understand that you've taken Bakari under your wing, but his grades are out of order, and he needs to get it together. She's like, I understand that he has talent. I've read some of his writings. He is going places, but he won't get far if his grades are continuing to be what they are. And so Professor Gardner, he is like, yeah, I understand he's kind of going through some things, at home. And the lady's like, I understand that, but he's going to have to learn how to separate home from school. Basically, like, his education and his home life, he's going to have to figure out how to balance them both. Like, because we cannot continue to let him, be here if he's not thriving. Like, what's the point? Sidebar, y'all know the lady she who's playing this dean or whatever. She used to be a fly girl on In Living Color. Okay.
I heard Alicia awarded him her scholarship.
She did.
I know she and your wife are friends.
They are.
Make sure your students can handle their coursework as well as their extracurricular activities. If we are going to make an exception to the rule, let's make sure that student we're bending the rule for is exceptional.
So Nut meets back up with Detective Sasan, and he basically lets her know that he is going to go along to get along. Okay. He agrees to help her trap Reggie. And she basically lets Nuck know that she needs him to befriend him. And Nuck is like, no, I'm not with that. She's like, well, you're going to have to be. If this is going to work, you're going to have to be friends with him. And, because I need you basically inside, I need you to be in close proximity to him. And she also says to Nuck, she said, make sure you answer your phone when I text you. He's like, I don't like having my phone on me like that. She's like, well, you're going to have to now. Like, in order for this to work, I'm going to need you to respond when I call. Okay. So we finally get a glimpse of Jamal. He's home from the hospital, resting, getting back to his health, honey. And he and Dawn are having a conversation. And he says to her, when I was almost up out of here, I realized I didn't have anything to leave behind, basically saying no one with his name. And he says to her, I think we should have some kids. And she flat out told him, I don't want to have kids. And he was like, are you serious? Like, this is something we never talked about. And she was like, no, we didn't, but I don't want to have any kids. So I'm curious how this is going to pan out with the two of them. So Tink Tink pulls up to drop off his collection that he got of the money that he owes Reggie. Okay. And baby, the look on Hannibal's face. And when he handed Reggie that money, and Reggie was like, I'm like, dude, you ain't even counted for real, for real. But he was like, this short. And he beat the brakes off of Tink Tink. Like, you would have thought that this boy stole from Reggie the way Reggie put a beating on him. Do I feel away? Just a little bit, even though I cannot stand Tink Tink because he put himself in this situation. The way Reggie went in on him, it was just absolutely ridiculous. Like I said, you would have thought the boy stole from him. You know what I'm saying? Or unalived his child or something. Like, it was just crazy. It was too much. So after poor Tink Tink gets plummeted by Reggie, he runs home, of course, and he tells Emmett what happened. And of course, his nose and everything is busted. Like, it's just a mess, right? And I'm thinking to myself, you can't even stand on your own. Like, you literally cannot even take it on the chin because you put yourself in this situation, Damon. Like, this little dude get on my nerves. Like, you put yourself in this situation. Granted, Reggie was completely out of order with how he beat him up. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was just too much. That wasn't necessarily warranted. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, Damon can't even stand on his 2 feet and just go clean yourself up. Like, oh my God, he's such a simp. I cannot stand him. So Emmett sees the going on with his brother. He's like, what happened? Who did this to you? Now, mind you, Emmett is already in his feelings, because of the whole situation with Tiff. So we got another emotional Negro on our hands, okay, about to make an emotional decision off temporary feelings, right? So of course he's looking at his brother like, who did this to you? Who did this to you? And he was like, Reggie. And Emmett was like, Reg, I thought that Negro ain't supposed to be alive. Like, where he at? Where he at? And sure enough, instead of Tink Tink not giving a location, he politely lets Emmett know that Reggie is at Jake's house. And I'm like, you got to be freaking kidding me.
No, you're not going anywhere.
I'm fine.
I can smell the whiskey on you.
Take care of my brother. I'll be back.
Emmett!
So Emmett pulls up on Reg, honey, and he's outside bamming on the door.
Open up the door, bitch.
And baby, when I tell you Emmett, he had one up on Reggie. He had 1, 2, and 3 up on Reggie, okay? And listen, when I saw Reggie put that blicky in his back pocket, I already knew it was going to be some trouble. I did not expect Emmett to attack him the way that he did as soon as Reg opened the door. And y'all know I do not fear for Reg. I do not like him. Reggie is a bully. He is a troublemaker. I cannot stand him. However, I am fair. And in this moment, Emmett was out of order. Okay. Emmett was completely out of order. Again, Emmett is in his feelings because of the situation with Vic and Tiff, and he has no right to be. It's like, sir, just deal with it. Like, you need to do what Jasmine Sullivan said and pick up your feelings, dear, because it is not going to change anything. Unfortunately, Reggie, Emmett was getting the best of Reggie, and so Reggie ended up pulling out his blicky and he pulls the trigger. Now, what I'm gonna need y'all to stop doing, the shy people, y'all writers, producers, all y'all, I'm gonna need y'all to stop ending the episodes with somebody on the ground, okay? Because this is not it, okay? Like at first, it was Jamal. We had Jamal tiptoeing over the Hallelujah Square. Now y'all got Emmett tiptoeing the Hallelujah Square, and that's all it better be is a tip and a toe, because y'all better not get rid of Emmett. I'm oh my God, y'all better not get rid of Emmett. Like, don't even play with us like that. I don't like the fact that he could not control himself. And Keisha was like, "You've been drinking. You need to stay your behind at home." And of course, it wasn't much that she could do with her, being so far along in the pregnancy. And then, of course, he wants you to sit back and take care of Tink Tink, who is the culprit and the reason behind this whole situation. Like, I don't like it at all. Like, what are y'all doing? Y'all about to really send Emmett. What y'all trying to take the whole family down? Y'all trying to take Jada. Now y'all trying to take the daddy too, because he is going to definitely be stressed out once he finds out what happened to Emmett. And I'm telling y'all, do not play with Emmett. Emmett is an OG. Do not take him up out of here. Y'all gave Jamal a second chance. Y'all better give my boy Emmett a second chance, because we do not have time for these shenanigans at all. Do not play in our face like this. I am not here for it. I am not here for it at all. I am so annoyed and so mad that this happened. Like, y'all gonna stop playing with our people on this show. Do not play with Emmett. This should be Reggie, not Emmett. Okay. And granted, again, I am fair. I cannot stand Reggie, but Emmett, oh my gosh. Like, dude, out of order, completely out of order. I have no idea what is going to happen. All I know is he better not be up out of here. That's all I know. Y'all cannot do this to Keisha. Y'all can't do it to Tip. Like, are you freaking kidding me? Oh, y'all, don't even play with us like that with Emmett. And the look on Reg's face, he know he effed up. You know what I'm saying? Like, he know this is not this ain't gonna be a good situation. And when Emmett survives, because I have to speak on it as he is going to survive, because y'all can't play with us like this. What is going to be the fallout from all of this? Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, what is going to be the fallout? Like, I have no idea. But oh my gosh, once again, too many hands in the pot. You got Emmett, who's tied to Nuck. Now Nuck is trying to set Reg up. Like, it's just so freaking much. You got Keisha, you got Tiff, you got the kids. Like, oh my God, Jada. Y'all cannot do this to us. Y'all better not play the radio with Emmett. Do not do this. Y'all better y'all better have him up in alert, just like I got Jamal up in alert, because we are not here for it at all. Okay? But we shall see. We shall see. Well, that's all I have for you guys in this video. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate the support, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.